I'm Ed Barker from Studio 1878, where we help businesses create podcasts from concept to distribution. And today I'm kicking off a 5-part series that sits right at the heart of what makes a podcast successful: storytelling. Now, if you work in brand or in content or comms, you've probably heard 100 times that you need to tell better stories. But in practice, that phrase is often used more like a label than a real process. It's like, oh, that's good storytelling, without anyone ever really unpacking what it takes to make it work or how you can do it yourself. So this series is about making storytelling useful, not vague, but concrete, and not a cliche, practical and not performative. So in today's episode, we're answering the first question: why storytelling even works, especially in a business context. Storytelling isn't just entertainment, it's how we process information. There's a reason your brain lights up when someone says, "Let me tell you a story." We're wired for this narrative. It goes from cave paintings to all the TED Talks you've seen on YouTube. It's how we process information. In fact, stories give facts meaning. They make something that's abstract much more relatable. They help people feel something, not just know something. In a podcast, that's crucial. You've got a voice and a mic and a listener with their thumb hovering over the skip button. The story keeps them in the room. In business, a story cuts through the noise. Most branded content is forgettable. You've probably seen the LinkedIn carousels or thought maybe that's helpful but not really sticky. What sticks is someone's story. It's the founder who almost lost everything but pivoted just in time. It's the marketer who ran a campaign that bombed and what she really learned from it. It's the engineer who built a feature out of frustration and it changed their entire company's roadmap. These aren't just anecdotes, they're emotional carriers for the point you're trying to make in your podcast, because people remember these stories way more than they remember stats or data or facts or figures. A story also builds empathy and trust, and I think this is really true in a B2B context where brands often default to authority. We've got the experts, we've got the credentials, but if you want listeners to come back, they need to feel something, let's say, human. Stories show some vulnerability too. They build some tension, they reveal your character, and that creates a connection which is real. It's the currency of any brand value at all. So you can be smart and you can be polished and you can be professional, but if your show has no heart, no one's sticking around for episode 2. Story helps structure your message as well. Another benefit is stories give your message some shape. You can kind of think about this as the classic arc: the problem, the tension, a turning point, perhaps a resolution. It's not just a literary device, it's a thinking tool. When you're planning an episode, especially in a solo or interview format, building around a narrative arc gives the listener something to hold on to. It's perhaps the difference between a ramble and a journey you're taking someone on. Even in panel discussions or hosting shows, having a loose story arc in mind can keep you from wandering off topic. I want to give you an example. Let's say you're doing an episode about onboarding a new hire. It's a dry and maybe boring topic. You could start with a list. Here are the 5 things you have to get right. Or you could begin with a relatable story. On Sarah's first day at our company, her laptop didn't arrive, her email didn't work, nobody knew she was starting. She spent the whole day refreshing a Zoom link for a meeting she was never actually invited to. She lasted 3 months on the job. Boom, now you feel something, now you care. And I'm ready to listen to your point about onboarding because you gave it some real stakes. Your point became much more of a punch. So what are we doing in this video series? Well, we're going to break it all down. And here's what's coming up next on the 5-part series. In the next episode, we'll look at different types of story structures you can use, even if you're not writing fiction. We'll cover how you can listen for a story while you're recording the moments that really matter, especially if you're doing interviews. And after that, I want to talk about how you can shape a story in the edit. That's often where the real magic can happen. And finally, we'll show you how to make storytelling a habit, part of your process, not just a special bonus or a one-off thing. And each of these videos is built to help you turn storytelling from an abstract theory into practice, into ways that will work for you, whether you're a solo marketer or you're an in-house team or an agency building shows for your clients. So final thought about storytelling, it's not a nice to have, it's not a decorative layer to your podcast or your video or whatever media you're creating. You don't have visuals often in podcasting. You often don't have charts. You don't have a fancy landing page to distract you with. What you've got is audio. And the best way to make that happen and can make it compelling is to tell stories. So I want to leave you with these 3 questions. Ask yourself, what story are you telling today? What story are we highlighting? And is there a human moment in this that people will really remember and connect to? Because if you can answer those questions, I think your podcast will be better than 90% of what's out there already. If you want to build storytelling into your process or your brand podcast, or you just want help shaping your show's arc, you can drop me a line. The link's below. I'm Ed Barker from Studio 1878. Thank you for listening to this series, and we'll be back on the next one.